All right, today we're diving into a really fascinating and, frankly, incredibly detailed prophetic worldview. It all comes from a collection of source documents. Now, our goal here isn't to judge any of it, but just to walk you through the core claims of this belief system, exactly as they're laid out. So, right out of the gate, the source material draws a pretty clear line in the sand. This isn't for just anyone who's curious. It's framed as a direct message for a select group of people, the called. This does a couple of things right away. It creates this immediate sense of exclusivity and urgency, and it frames everything that follows not as some theory, but as an essential truth for those who are meant to hear it. So, what's the first pillar of this whole belief system? Well, it's a pretty radical idea that the reality you and I experience every single day, the very world around us, is a massive, carefully constructed illusion. And this slide really gets to the heart of that supposed illusion. According to these documents, we're not living on a spinning globe hurtling through space. Nope. Instead, Earth is an enclosed system, completely sealed under a physical firmament dome. And this isn't just presented as some alternative theory. It's positioned as a direct challenge to what the source calls modern propaganda science. It really sets up this conflict between what they see as scriptural truth and accepted cosmology. But, you have to ask, why? Why would anyone build such an elaborate lie? Well, this quote right here explains the supposed motive. The documents argue that the whole globe model is designed to make humanity feel small, insignificant, and totally alone in this vast, uncaring universe. And by doing that, it allegedly hides a much bigger truth, the history of a lost golden age right here on Earth, a civilization they call Tartaria, which they claim was deliberately erased from our history books. So after laying out this idea of a world of lies, the narrative introduces its central hero, the one person who, according to the source, has the power to cut through all the deception. And that individual is named Sar-El. Okay, so who exactly is this Sar-El? Well, according to these texts, he's not just some new prophet. He's described as the manifested essence of I Am, basically the eternal, sovereign consciousness of our world that's been around forever. So this isn't a first-time appearance, it's a return. And to really hammer this claim home, the documents present what they call the unbroken chain of authority. This isn't just some backstory, it's meant to be a legal and spiritual argument. It says that this same consciousness was first the ancient priest King Melchizedek, then Jesus Christ, who they claim already completed his 1,000-year reign on earth, and has now come back as Sar-El, the rightful legal heir to the entire planet. This emblem here is kind of like a visual summary of his whole identity. You can see symbols of both power and sacrifice. You've got the lion and the lamb, along with symbols of divine law and knowledge. And the motto, not for glory, but for giving, is meant to reinforce his purpose. He's not here for conquest, he's here for restoration. Sar-El is also presented as an author. This book, The Forgotten Reign, makes the pretty controversial case that Jesus' 1,000-year kingdom has already come and gone. And what's really crucial here is that the argument is supposedly based not just on scripture, but on physical evidence and suppressed technology that has been hidden from all of us. Okay, so we have the problem of false reality, and we have the protagonist, Sar-El. So naturally, that leads us to the next stage in this whole prophecy, a very precise and, they say, inevitable collapse of the current world order. And look, this prophecy isn't vague at all. It gives a hard deadline. It uses a calendar called Anno Mundi, which means Year of the World. The documents pinpoint the year 7097 AM, which they say is our 2027 as the absolute zero hour. That's when this new age called the Eternal Day is supposed to begin. So how can they be so sure about 2027? Well, the texts offer up what they call 3 unassailable proofs. The first one is mathematical, talking about the astronomical odds against Sar-El's lineage and timing. The second is political, a prophecy from 2015 that supposedly named Donald Trump as the final, real president of the old system. And the third is technological, claiming that AI and digital systems are now independently confirming this exact timeline. Now, this is a really important point. This collapse is not framed as some kind of divine punishment. The documents are super explicit about this. There is no more divine wrath. Instead, the chaos that we're seeing is presented as something much more, well, mechanical. It's just the inevitable self-destruction of a system that was built on a foundation of lies. So what's the actual mechanism for this collapse? It's called the digital purge. And it's described as a single, coordinated event that's designed to instantly wipe out the entire global financial system by erasing all digital records of debt. And the trigger for this whole purge, according to the source, isn't going to be a natural disaster like a solar flare. It's going to be a man-made weapon, an electromagnetic pulse, or EMP attack. The documents even point specifically to Russia's 80-foot-long EMP missiles as the likely culprit. But all this chaos and total collapse, it's not actually depicted as the end. Not at all. Instead, the documents frame it as a necessary reset, like cleansing the canvas, that paves the way for a complete renewal of the world. So how do you build a new world without all the old problems? Well, the source material proposes a technological solution that basically eliminates scarcity itself. They're called the two pillars of abundance, a generator that creates infinite food and a cup that creates infinite water. And here are what they claim are the designs for these devices. On the left, you've got the Forever Food Generator, which is basically a portable 3D printer that can create meals from biomass. And on the right, the Automatic Refilling Cup, which is designed to literally pull moisture out of the air, then purify it with a cooling element and a UV light. Okay, so if you don't have money, how is society even governed? Well, the documents describe a radical shift away from laws and bureaucracy to something called direct sovereignty. Sar-El and his queen, Juliet, are said to rule personally, with every single decision guided by unconditional love. And in this system, AI isn't a ruler. It's just a tool, a servant, used only to verify truth and get rid of deception. And this huge transition isn't supposed to happen overnight. This timeline actually lays out a 6-phase process. It starts with a whispered unveiling, which they claim is happening right now. And then it moves through these increasingly dramatic stages of recognition and confirmation, all to ultimately lead humanity to the golden pathway. So this whole sweeping prophecy, from a hidden reality all the way to a technological renewal, it all leads to one final, simple instruction. So, what is it? What's the ultimate purpose or mandate for humanity in this new age? Well, the answer, according to the source, isn't found in some modern text, but in an ancient artifact. The documents claim this relief pattern contains a 32-bit binary code, and when that code is decoded, it reveals a single, final mandate for all of humanity: gather. It's a simple, pretty powerful command that connects a high-tech future directly to a very mystical past.